Throwback to 1800, when France forged the modern world. To cast our gaze back to France at the dawn of the 19th century is to witness a nation and a world poised on a razor's edge. The year 1800 was not merely a chronological marker. It was a moment of profound transformation, a pivot point between the chaotic idealism of the French Revolution and the ambitious order of a new empire. The air was thick with the echoes of the guillotine and the nascent dreams of glory. It was the year when a young, untested general named Napoleon Bonaparte would definitively step from the shadows of revolution to the center stage of history, beginning a process that would redraw the map of Europe, codify its laws, and forever alter the very concept of power, nationhood, and modernity. The France that Napoleon inherited was a traumatized and exhausted land. The decade following the Revolution of 1789 had been a roller coaster of hope, terror, and instability. The monarchy was abolished, King Louis XIII and Queen Marie Antoinette executed, and the old feudal order dismantled with violent fervor. The subsequent reign of terror under Maximilien Robespierre had seen tens of thousands perish, creating a society deeply scarred by paranoia and bloodshed. The Directory, the five-man executive body that ruled France from 1795, was notoriously corrupt, inefficient, and bankrupt, unable to provide the stability so desperately craved by a populace weary of chaos. Inflation was rampant, the infrastructure was in disrepair, and France remained at war with a coalition of European monarchies, Austria, Britain, Russia, who viewed the Revolutionary Republic as a deadly contagion that threatened to topple their own thrones. The great promises of liberté, égalité, fraternité seemed a distant memory, replaced by cynicism and a longing for strong, competent leadership. It was into this power vacuum that Napoleon, fresh from a failed but glamorous campaign in Egypt, would stride. The event that cemented his rise was the coup of 18 Brumaire in November 1799. Though clumsily executed, the coup successfully overthrew the Directory. Napoleon, alongside two of the directors, Sieyès and Ducos, established a new government, the Consulate. Initially designed as a three-man executive with Napoleon as first consul, it was a fig leaf for his personal ambition. By 1802, he would be named first consul for life, and by 1804, Emperor of the French. But in 1800, his grip on power was still fragile. He understood that to secure his position, he needed to deliver what the revolution had failed to provide: order, legitimacy, and victory. His first and most immediate task was to secure France's borders. In the spring of 1800, Napoleon led his legendary crossing of the Alps, a daring military maneuver that saw his Army of the Reserve traverse the treacherous Great St. Bernard Pass. This audacious move, immortalized in Jacques-Louis David's iconic painting, was a masterpiece of psychological and strategic warfare. It caught the Austrian army completely by surprise in Italy. The campaign culminated in June at the Battle of Marengo. Initially, the battle seemed lost for the French, but a determined counterattack in the afternoon, famously reinforced by General Desailles, turned certain defeat into a decisive victory. Marengo was more than a military success. It was a propaganda triumph. Napoleon's official bulletins portrayed it as a masterfully planned victory from the start, cementing his image as an invincible military genius and forcing Austria to the negotiating table. By 1801, the Treaty of Luneville confirmed French dominance on the continent. Yet, Napoleon's true legacy was forged not only on the battlefield, but also in the halls of governance and law. Recognizing that France was a fractured nation, he sought to become a unifying force, a reconciler of the old and the new. His most enduring achievement, The Civil Code of 1804, later renamed the Napoleonic Code, was a revolutionary document that provided a single, coherent set of laws for the entire nation. It stripped away the complex patchwork of feudal and royal laws, establishing clear principles of civil life. The code affirmed the abolition of feudalism, guaranteed property rights, and established freedom of religion. However, it was also a product of its time, reflecting patriarchal values by enshrining the authority of husbands over wives and fathers over children. Despite its flaws, the code's influence was monumental. It was exported to every corner of Napoleon's growing empire, from Italy to the Netherlands, and its legal principles became the foundation for the civil law systems of much of Europe, Latin America, and even parts of North America. Beyond the legal sphere, Napoleon completely reorganized the French state, creating a centralized, efficient, and modern bureaucracy that still forms the backbone of French administration today. He established the Bank of France in 1800 to stabilize the currency and economy. He reformed the education system, creating the lycées, high schools, and the prestigious Université de France to educate a new, meritocratic elite loyal to the state. He even brokered a landmark religious reconciliation, the Concordat of 1801 with Pope Pius VII. This agreement ended the schism between the French state and the Catholic Church that had existed since the Revolution. While it affirmed freedom of religion, it recognized Catholicism as the religion of the majority of the French, bringing the clergy back under state control and pacifying the deeply religious peasantry of the provinces. This act of political pragmatism demonstrated Napoleon's keen understanding that to heal France, he had to mend its social and spiritual fabric. The year 1800 also saw France's global ambitions rekindle. While his Egyptian campaign had ended in failure, it underscored a desire to challenge British colonial supremacy. In North America, the Spanish had secretly ceded the vast Louisiana territory back to France in the Treaty of San Ildefonso. Napoleon dreamed of a new French empire in the New World, with Louisiana as its breadbasket. However, a slave revolt in the valuable sugar colony of Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti, led by Toussaint Louverture, drained French resources and men. When the situation there became untenable and war with Britain loomed again, Napoleon made a pragmatic and world-altering decision. He sold the Louisiana Territory to the United States in 1803 in the Louisiana Purchase. This single act doubled the size of the young American Republic, setting it on a path to becoming a continental power, while funding Napoleon's impending wars in Europe. And war did come. The Peace of Amiens with Britain in 1802 was a brief, tense interlude. By 1803, the two nations were again at war, a conflict that would rage for over a decade. The years that followed 1800 were a whirlwind of military genius and imperial overreach. Napoleon crowned himself emperor in 1804, a symbolic act that fused the new revolutionary ideals with the pomp of ancient monarchy. His Grande Armée delivered a series of stunning victories at Austerlitz, 1805, Jena, 1806, and Friedland, 1807, crushing the Austrian, Prussian, and Russian armies and forcing a humiliated Europe into submission. He placed his brothers on the thrones of newly created kingdoms, dismantling the Holy Roman Empire and creating a continental system designed to economically strangle Britain. But the very forces that propelled him to greatness also contained the seeds of his downfall. The continental system proved unenforceable and crippled European economies. The Peninsular War in Spain and Portugal became a bloody ulcer that drained his army. Most fatally, his invasion of Russia in 1812 proved to be a catastrophic miscalculation. The brutal Russian winter and scorched earth tactics destroyed his Grande Armée. This defeat galvanized a final, powerful coalition against him. leading to his abdication in 1814, a brief return in 1815, and his final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. The France of 1800 was a laboratory of modernity. From its chaos emerged the blueprint for the powerful, centralized nation-state. Napoleon was the catalyst, a force of nature who took the raw energy of the revolution and channeled it into a system of administration, law, and ambition that would define the 19th century. He was a paradox, a son of the revolution who became an emperor, a liberator who became an oppressor, a modernizer who ruled as an autocrat. His legacy is a complex tapestry of legal equality and authoritarian control, of national pride and immense human cost. To understand the world of the 1800s is to understand the seismic shock wave that emanated from France. A wave set in motion in that pivotal year when a young Corsican general decided the future was his to forge.